Hi, I'm Leila Altman, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about my intestinal fungal overgrowth lecture. So initially, when I started treating people with SIBO, I was under the impression that intestinal fungal overgrowth was something that only occurred in people who had immune compromise, like people with HIV or people on chemotherapy, and couldn't possibly be affecting otherwise healthy people. I was definitely wrong. That is something that I learned to not be true later. I had seen many patients with SIBO and treated them for SIBO, and some of them actually got worse with SIBO treatment, particularly the elemental diet. And then after ruling out other causes of symptoms like IBD and food intolerances, other conditions, I ended up sort of hitting a wall and deciding to test people for fungal overgrowth. And I found that many of my patients that I wasn't successful treating actually had intestinal fungal overgrowth. And when I treated that, their symptoms improved significantly. I also learned that about 34% of people with SIBO also have intestinal fungal overgrowth because they have similar underlying causes like PPI use and slow motility. So the chances are pretty good that if somebody has SIBO, they also have fungal overgrowth. And it's also very possible to make people worse with SIBO treatment if they have fungal overgrowth. This is particularly true for the elemental diet because the elemental diet essentially gives the body a lot of sugar, which feeds yeast, their preferred form of fuel, so the yeast can overgrow, and then it starves bacteria. So you usually have this competition between yeast and bacteria in the gut, and they sort of keep each other in check. But when you feed the yeast and you starve the bacteria, the yeast can overgrow. And that's one of the reasons that people on the elemental diet can get worse. And the same is true with antibiotics a little bit to a lesser degree, but when you're killing off bacteria in the intestines, it allows for more yeast to overgrow. So now that I've been doing this for over 10 years, I think of treating SIBO without knowing about somebody's yeast status like going into battle with blinders on. You have really no idea what's in there and how you're going to come out of that battle. It could be better, it could be worse. So I always consider fungal overgrowth in all of my patients with SIBO. If I'm going to put something on the elemental diet, I'm always going to test for fungal overgrowth and treat it if it's present prior to starting, or if the person doesn't want to test, just treat with antifungals during the elemental diet so people don't get worse, because I have seen a lot of cases of people getting worse with that. So in this lecture, we're going to cover cases, like the cases that I'm referring to, as well as the signs and symptoms of fungal overgrowth, the underlying causes and associated conditions, and various testing options and treatment options, including pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, and herbal therapies. So I hope you will join me, and I hope you find this helpful. Thanks so much.